everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you. In this second part of our series about Norse, or Scandinavian mythology, we're continuing with the creation myth. In the first part, we discussed how the world came into being, but there are still parts of that story left to tell, which we'll do in this episode. Furthermore, I will explain how mankind was created and introduce you to the concept of the world tree. So, Odin, Vili, and Vi were the ones who created the world. They killed Ymir, the first ice giant, and from his body, they quite literally created the world. This was how a new yet uninhabited world came into being. The gods named this place Midgard, which is often translated as Middle Earth. To protect it, they built a wall around Midgard out of Ymir's eyebrows. The primary function of this wall was nothing less than to keep the giants located beyond the surrounding sea at bay. Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda describes this as follows. We should visualize Midgard, also known as Middle Earth, as an area encased by a wall, beyond which lies the sea that surrounds it. In another interpretation, the arrangement is reversed. Hence, what lies beyond the sea and the wall is the realm of the giants, Jotunheim. This is particularly intriguing because, in one version, the two worlds are separated by a sea, while in the other, they are divided by merely a river. Furthermore, in one version, the two worlds are virtually interconnected, whereas in the other, they are entirely unrelated, making this part of the story somewhat unclear. However, creation was not yet complete because Middle Earth was still uninhabited. It was a breathtaking landscape with pure rivers and streams, and the land was suitable for farming. Yet, there was no one to appreciate and utilize this beautiful kingdom. One day, the brothers Odin, Vili, and Vi were strolling along the seashore and found two driftwood logs. It's important to note that it was high tide at the time. We'll delve into the causes of ebb and tide later on. Intriguingly, one of the logs was an ash tree, known for its resilience. It's excellent for carving. It doesn't crack and it won't splinter. The other log was an elm tree, which is hardy, enduring, and suitable for constructing houses and halls. These two logs were essentially resting on top of each other. The three gods, Odin, Vili, and Vi, took these two logs and set about creating the first human pair. Odin breathed life into them. Vili carved the logs into human form, and Vi transformed one into a man and the other into a woman. They made clothes for the pair to cover themselves. Finally, once the two human forms were ready, they bestowed upon them names. The ash log was named Ask, which means man, and the elm was named Embla, signifying woman. Ask and Embla are considered the progenitors of all humanity. The gods decreed that henceforth, their dwelling place would be Midgard, also known as Middle Earth. The wall they constructed around it ensured its security. Consequently, the human lineage began its history in Middle Earth, and from that moment on, we have referred to Odin as the All-Father. He is the forefather of all. After all, he was one of the creators of the world, and he was the one who breathed life into the logs. Now, a slight detour into the world of Lord of the Rings. In Tolkien's universe, there exists Middle Earth. This Middle Earth is essentially Midgard. Also, in the Lord of the Rings, there are gods, but there is one who stands above all. Eru Ilúvatar. The meaning of his name is as follows. Eru, the One, Ilúvatar, Father of all. Therefore, Middle Earth corresponds to Midgard, and Eru Ilúvatar is a direct parallel to Odin. So now we understand the creation of the world and of humans. However, we still have one crucial aspect left: Yggdrasil, the world tree. It's critical to understand that while we have encountered conflicting stories so far, the tale of Yggdrasil, the world tree, is, to put it mildly, quite captivating. According to ancient Scandinavian beliefs, the universe consisted of 9 realms. Yggdrasil, an evergreen ash, stood in the center. What exactly does it mean that it was in the middle? Well, it was simply in the middle. According to the Voluspa Edda song, this tree connected the 9 worlds or realms that compose the universe. The 9 worlds aren't explicitly named, but the commonly accepted list includes Asgard, Vanheim, Alfheim, Jotunheim, Midgard, Niflheim, Muspelheim, Helheim, and Svartalfheim. You're surely wondering about who created these worlds and how they did so. Well, you're not alone in that curiosity. We share it too. I'd like to mention that, unfortunately, the available sources do not make it easy to thoroughly explore such stories. Due to religious conflicts and past disputes, much information was lost or never recorded. As a result, from the comprehensive and intricate narratives of Norse mythology, only fragments have remained. The bottom line: each of these 9 worlds corresponds to a different heaven. Considering there are more than 20 different names in total for these, we'll sidestep that detail for now. Each of the 9 worlds is inhabited by a different race. Asgard, the realm of the Aesir gods, led by Odin. Vanaheim, home of the fertility gods, the Vanir. The Aesir and Vanir are the deities of this world. Alfheim is the world of the light or good elves. Jotunheim officially belongs to the ice giants, though it can also simply be referred to as the land of the giants. Midgard is the dwelling place of humans. Svartalfheim is home to the dwarves, and also the dark or evil elves. It's noteworthy that dark elves and dwarves are often considered the same. Muspelheim is the realm of the fire giants, while Niflheim is the realm of eternal frost and the spirits of the dead. Finally, there's Helheim, the realm of the goddess Hel, which may sound familiar because it's related to the term hell. It was understood as an underworld. What we now consider as hell has its roots in this concept. Though in this case, it's a frosty version of it. It's plausible that even the Norsemen themselves didn't fully comprehend the layout of the world tree and the 9 worlds. The descriptions that suggest the worlds are situated on the roots, branches, and trunk of Yggdrasil provide little insight into their relative spatial position. Unfortunately, based on available sources, it's impossible to depict accurately the geography of the 9 worlds and the world tree that connects them. No matter where you look, if you find 3 images depicting Yggdrasil and the 9 worlds, each will likely be different. According to Snorri Sturluson, Yggdrasil, the world tree, has 3 roots, with each root reaching into a different well. The sources are as follows. Erdebrunn Well of Fate, which, perhaps unsurprisingly, resides in Asgard. The second is Mimir's Well, located in the land of the giants. The third is Havelgelmir, the poisonous spring of Niflheim. Now, allow me to point out a problem I have with this. If Midgard is in the trunk of the tree, that is, at the center, and Asgard lies above Midgard, then how can it be that a root of Yggdrasil extends into the realm of the Aesir? These are the kind of logical questions that are sometimes best overlooked in this context, because it's more than likely that, unfortunately, we will never get a precise answer to this. Yggdrasil, the world tree, hosts an impressive ecosystem. Let's start from the bottom. As I mentioned, the three roots reach into three wells. Fergomire is the poisonous well, its venom stemming from a snake residing within. This creature is a snake-like dragon. Some consider it more of a snake, others more of a dragon. Its name is Nidhogg, meaning cruel strike. What it does is gnaw on the root of the world tree. The other well is Mimir's spring. It's significant to us at the moment because it contains a head, a living head. We'll delve more into that later. The third well, Erdebrunn, is the well of fate. The Norns reside at this well. The Norns are the fate goddesses of Norse mythology. They are 3 in number. Their names are Erd, signifying past, Verdandi, representing present, and Skuld, meaning future. The 3 goddesses determine the fate of every inhabitant of the world. Even the gods cannot question their judgment. Consequently, the 3 fate goddesses symbolize the most potent element in the universe. Besides shaping destinies, their role is to nourish and heal the root of Yggdrasil. It's also important to mention that there are not just 3 Norns, and not all of them are benevolent. There are other and malevolent Norns as well. However, about these other evil Norns, beyond the fact that they exist, unfortunately, we do not have any further information. Around the Erdebrunn spring, a certain type of mud can be found. The Norns use this mud to anoint Yggdrasil's root, so the Norns heal, and Nidhogg, the serpent, destroys. This keeps the world in balance between destruction and creation. Nidhogg has an enemy, a nameless eagle. This eagle resides in the crown of Yggdrasil, and a kind of war, let's say, is constantly raging between the two of them. And quite interestingly, there is another huge squirrel, the famous Ratatoskr, whose role is to cause tension between Nidhogg and the nameless eagle. According to the Edda hymns, 4 deer graze amongst the branches of the world tree. Those familiar with Lord of the Rings will recognize their names: Danang, Divalin, Dunair, and Durathror. These stories are interesting, aren't they? The world tree, Yggdrasil, bears immense significance. Yet, curiously enough, no accounts exist of either its origin or its eventual downfall. The predicted end of the world, during the Ragnarok, the ash tree will tremble and moan, but it will not fall and will not perish. More precisely, the world tree, Yggdrasil, was considered eternal. Christian cosmology interprets time linearly. It begins with creation and ends with Judgment Day. The Scandinavians, however, believed that time is nothing more than the cyclical repetition of creation and destruction. We talked about many novelties in this part. I know I've just suddenly brought up the god families and Asgard without any previous explanation, but there's no need to panic. Anyone who follows this series will find out everything there is to know, but everything in its own time. While the passage of time in these stories may not be linear, rest assured, my storytelling is. If you're curious about the Aesir and Vanir god families, who they exactly are, and what the first war of the world was like, that will be the topic of our next episode. Thank you very much for your attention and for sticking with me. Before we close this chapter, remember, if anything we've discussed sparked questions, or if you're unsure about any part of the story, please ask in the comments. We're always happy to help clarify and discuss. Until next time, farewell.